Well, welcome back. Again, my name is Ginger, and I'm a paramedic with a local agency, and I'm going to teach you a few of the yoga poses using Brittany Hiller, owner of Effervescence, as my model demonstration. Just a few of the yoga poses that help me in my career, help me physically, emotionally, mentally, that sort of thing. So to start with, we're going to come to what's called Tadasana. So we're going to bring our hands down by our sides. Feet are basically hip-width distance apart, and you're going to lift all 10 toes up and come down into what's called the four corners of your feet. So it's just equal weight in your body. And then you're going to bring your pelvis to neutral. So you're just going to tilt your pelvis a little bit. And then as you inhale, you're going to lift your hands up above your head. And you're going to stay in this position for a couple of breaths. When you breathe on your inhale, you're going to reach up through your fingertips. And as you exhale, you're going to really ground your feet in. And how this helps me is it lengthens my spine and sometimes makes me feel a little bit taller than what I am. But the biggest benefit is I just feel a lengthening and stretching of my spine. So we're going to do that for a couple of breaths, really reaching up, lengthening through the fingertips. How does that make you feel, Brittany? Good. This kind of stretches your spine out for you? Good. Okay. And then you're going to exhale, bring your hands to heart center and go forward into Uttanasana. So it's a forward fold. So as you can see, Brittany again, keeps her feet in the position that they're in, but she has a nice bend in her knees. So a lot of people think you have to be flexible. I have to be able to bend forward and reach the floor, touch my toes without bending my knees, and that's not it. This is really good in this pose for your low back. And low back injuries are quite common in first responders in their career. So this is a good way to stretch out your low back, lengthen things out, and just relax the muscles. Now, if you're finding that you have issues reaching the floor, you can really bend your knees to bring your chest towards your thighs, like Brittany's doing right now. Or we have these things called blocks. So I'm going to grab these for Brittany. Now, these are yoga blocks, but you can use anything that you have at home, a shoebox, cans, books. I find books work really well. But if you don't have anything like that, just find something that works in your house. And as you can see, these yoga blocks have different heights to them. So you can go low, you can go medium, or you can go high. And that brings the ground up to you and allows you to even bend maybe a little bit deeper into your yoga pose. And we continue to breathe. Breathing is the biggest thing that is important in yoga, as in life. I mean, you need your breath to survive. And in yoga, what I found, they teach you to lengthen your inhales and your exhales. And for me to understand how to do that, I'll do it like I'll inhale to the count of 4 and I exhale to the count of 4. And I find that I transition that into the real world when I get into tough situations, and then that calms me down as well. So I invite you guys to try that. So take a couple more inhales, a couple more exhales. And then on your next inhale, rise back up to Tadasana, reaching your hands up to the ceiling. And then you're going to take your right hand and grab hold of your left wrist. Other way, yep. Your opposite, right? I do that all the time too. And as you're going to inhale, you're going to lengthen up through your left arm, and then you're gently going to bend over. Now you want to keep a small bend in your knees. You don't want to smoke your joints is what we call it. So we got to find humor in everything, and that's one of the humor phrases we have. But as you're inhaling, you're going to lengthen through your hands, and as you exhale, you're just going to bend a little bit more to the side. And this lengthens out your side. You don't realize how much you sit and you're just in this one position, you're not moving around, and this lengthening helps bring space between your ribs. You're going to inhale and come back up to center, switch hands, and go the opposite direction. And when you bring that space to your ribs, to your torso, that helps you breathe better, easier. What do you find works for you in this pose, Brittany? Does it?
Grounding down into my feet.
Okay. So grounding into her feet. I'll move these blocks out of the way. But grounding into your feet, why does that help you in this pose?
It helps me to rise up into my body.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that for sure. Because lots of times people will do a bend where you're not really grounding in and you're just kind of bending. Lots of times people will just do this and they're not getting the appropriate position. So when you ground into your feet, you can really get the appropriate position. So on your next inhale, rise back up to center, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then walk your hands out, step your feet back, downward facing dog. So your hands are grounding into your mat. As you can see what she's doing here, she's got the nice upward slope of her back, and then her feet are at hip-width distance apart. Slight bend in the knees. And then as she inhales, she can bend her knees a little bit deeper. And then as she exhales, she can lift her butt up towards the sky and press her heels down further. And she'll feel a gentle stretch in the backs of her legs. She'll feel a lengthening in her spine on this. If you have tight hamstrings, which is the muscle that runs up and down the back of your leg, that causes issues with your low back. I can speak from experience because I used to be a runner, and again, my back was always causing me issues, and it was because my hamstrings were too tight. So this is one of the poses that works really great for that. You can also lengthen out your dog, which is stepping your feet back. So Brittany, step your feet back a little bit further, and you can kind of keep that slight bend, and there you go. That's your downward facing dog. So that's another pose that works well. Now, Brittany, if you could lower your knees to your mat and come into tabletop. So for tabletop, it's what it sounds like. Your hands are underneath your shoulders on your mat. Your knees are hip-width distance apart. And tabletop, we can go into call what's cat and cow. This is another way to bring space to your vertebrae. So she is demonstrating cow. As she inhales, she lifts her head up towards the ceiling, her gaze, lets her belly drop. And as she exhales, she really draws up into what looks like a cat. Brings the shoulder blades away from her spine on the cat and brings them back together on the cow. And throughout these poses, you want to keep your core tight. Your core is the area in your belly. You don't have to have a six-pack abs. I don't have them. You just need to have your muscles tight because your muscles in your belly also protect your muscles in your back. And then we'll come back to neutral. And then tuck your toes, downward facing dog. And again, you find the positions that work best for you. And so now we're going to step into what's called Warrior 2. She's going to bring her right foot forward. She's going to pivot her back leg down, so her back foot is parallel to the back of the mat. And her front leg, whichever leg you put front, is like this, knees stacked over the other. Extend your arms out. And then flip your front palm and do what's called Reverse Warrior. You can bring your back hand to your back leg. And again, it's another lengthening of the side, which is really good. Go ahead and come back to Warrior 2 and step into Downward Facing Dog. And then let's do Warrior on the opposite side, Warrior 2. And you can hear how she's breathing. With each pose, she extends her arms out on an inhale. She flips her palm and then reverses it on an exhale. So you use your breath through each movement, and each moment. Okay, downward facing dog. And then lower your knees down and come onto your back. I'm gonna get these blocks. Can you hand me that block, please? Yes. Thank you, ma'am. And go ahead and come onto your back. And the block, the book, whatever you have, we're going to come into what's called waterfall pose, which is putting your legs up to the ceiling. So you're going to lift your lower back up, put the block underneath basically what we call the lumbar area, the sacrum, right in this back, and then lift your legs up to the ceiling. Just keep them flat like this. And it's a good relaxing pose. I use this sometimes at nighttime when I'm having issues going to sleep. They have said that this pose is a good way to fall asleep. I haven't found it 100%. It does work with headaches with me though, so. And you can hold this pose for a couple of inhales and exhales. And then we're going to lower down our feet, lift your hips up. Always lift your hips up and gently remove the block from underneath. I will help Brittany with that. Okay, now we're going to do a twist to the side. So stack your knees over like you're sitting in a chair. Gently put your legs to the right side. Take your gaze over to the left side. Now, if you have somebody that can help you, this is always a great thing to do. I always ask my coworkers sometimes to put their palm of their hand here on the hip and the palm on the shoulder. And I just gently stretch. And this is just a good spinal twist. My focus has been on the spine, lengthening it, working on the hamstrings because they're all interconnected. And this really is a good thing to do to assist if you have any issues with your back. And come back to the other side. Another thing too, if you're really good friends with whomever is helping you, if doing yoga class or just doing your yoga practice, is to take the palm of your hand and gently go down the side of the thigh. That helps the IT band, another runner muscle that gets used quite a bit and can cause injury. And then come back to center. And for the final resting pose, we're going to go into what's called Shavasana. Shavasana is also called corpse pose. You're going to extend your legs out, bring your hands down by your sides, close your eyes, and just relax. You can allow your breath to return to normal. You can take your time in Shavasana. You can have it be a minute. You can put on your favorite song and listen to it through your Shavasana. Use what works for you. And then to end our practice today, Brittany, if you'll gently roll to your side and come to a seated position. Whatever works for you as far as being a comfortable seat. I like this position here. Bring your hands to heart center. I thank you for allowing me to come into your home today to show you a few things that work for me as a first responder. And thank you, Brittany, for letting me demonstrate these points. So take a deep inhale, and we'll end today's practice by saying namaste.
Namaste.